So it is 6:35 on September 21st. Hard to believe it's September 21st. And we have a quorum. We have two members absent, Karen and Chuck. And so we have no public with us tonight, but if so, they would have up to 4 minutes to speak on any subject to the board. So we'll go right into regular session, and the first thing is to take appropriate actions regarding the minutes, regarding the April,
20th?
well, actually, it's the December minutes, right?
No, we've already approved the December minutes.
Oh, okay.
April.
All right, so we're approving the April minutes, sorry about that. And so I will take a motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
and a second,
I second.
and all those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then we are going to get an update from Officer Hall on impound and pet registration numbers year-to-date for 2022.
Yes, so as you see, we've only had 15 dogs year-to-date so far. I went back to last year and we were up to a whopping 10 at this time. So
Okay.
we've seen 5 more dogs than
Okay.
2021. The 12 claimed by owner, we've had the 2 adoptions and then the 1 transferred to rescue that you helped with. Thank you very, very much.
Yep.
And then so far, only 20 pet registrations. That's a little bit low. But Pet Fest is coming, and we know we can get a lot of pet registrations then, so
Okay, great.
that's where we're at.
And I'll make sure when I share that on social media, I'll make sure people know that they can register their pet while they're there. Are we gonna have the tags to actually give them to them again?
We will.
Oh, awesome, okay. I'll make sure to note that, and maybe we'll get some people to come out for that. And then the next item I wanted to talk about was the stray holding period. So our shelter's a little bit different. Most shelters have a holding
Area.
and then they move into adoptions after the 72 hours, sorry about that. And so what I'd like to do, just because we have a small shelter, we have very few impounds, I wanted to talk about the possibility of extending the stray hold from 72 hours to maybe 5 days, so that it'll give me, given the situation we're in today with rescue and shelters, it's very difficult to find a space.
Understand.
And I don't want to come under the gun, like we did with the last one.
Right.
Come under the gun that we can't find a rescue and we're not adopted yet, but we're off a stray hold. So I think what I'd like to do is see if we can, by ordinance, extend that from the 72 hours to 5 days. We've had very few days where we've had more than one dog in the shelter at any given time. I think I can probably count on one hand, and I don't even think I'd use all 5 fingers, where we've had more than one dog
True.
in the shelter, even on holidays and things like that.
True.
And so just to make sure that, I just don't want anything and anybody to have to make any rash decisions simply because a time frame is up and we aren't able to find an adopter or space or a rescue, for the dog. And so, if you would like the ability, I put it on here for discussion,
Yeah.
not decision
Right.
tonight.
I believe
but-
council makes that decision since it's in.
It would be a change in ordinance.
Correct.
But what I really wanted to do was kind of get people's input on what they thought about that, given our size and scope and the number that we have. But it's harder and harder for me to find space for dogs these days, just because of the high number of returns that shelters and rescues are seeing currently.
Okay.
They're having a difficult time finding space themselves when we reach out, for help.
Okay.
So,
So, my initial thoughts are, since we are very small, and I have such a great relationship with you and your rescue and your network, your networking skills are amazing to me. I wish I had those gifts. So even though our holding period is 3 days, we know that a pet is under no risk of euthanasia. I mean, even our last dog we had that wanted to eat me, I put on my Kevlar gloves and I made friends.
Yeah.
I got lots of holes in my gloves, but I made friends. And once the dog realized, oh, this guy's not, then she calmed down, she wagged her tail, she was my best friend.
Yeah,
And that's just all it needed to take the fear away from her.
yeah, yeah.
And then we adopted her here, one of our employees, and it was great. So,
Perfect.
but you know, when we get a dog, obviously the first thing I do is contact you,
Yep.
let everyone know we have this. There's no chip, there's no owner at the moment. Even though there's a 3-day hold, we do hold longer. It's not 3 days and, oh, we gotta do something with it. It's never that. If we had the 5-day holding period, that means we do have to hold it 2 more days and we can't put it up for adoption. Now, that's just 2 days. I don't know how many folks we would miss, even if that is a risk of missing an adoption. I know generally if we get a dog in over a holiday weekend or Christmas week break, certainly I hold them even longer, even though 72 hours. Obviously we continue to hold because of those circumstances. I don't think we've had a dog even over Christmas holidays in the past couple of years that I can remember.
No,
Don't jinx it.
I know, right?
it's
Right.
4th of July.
That's usually the big one.
It's always 4th of July. It's always when it's 100 degrees out.
Yeah. Dogs are scared, the fireworks go off, they bust through the
Yeah.
gate.
Yeah,
But
So-
we have had, I mean, I remember last summer, I haven't been in the shelter for a while, but we had the like tannish colored boxery pit bull, whatever he was.
Yeah, what was him?
I mean, we had him a long time. I don't know if you were even here then. He was here a long time, and you got him adopted.
Did we have him a couple weeks?
I think
Which is
so.
kind of, yeah, I don't think we've ever had a dog over 2 weeks.
And then we had that shepherd that I remember. Those are just the ones I remember.
We had the little red dog. That was our first dog when I
Yes.
was on duty.
Yes, she was here a while.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
So I can see it either way.
Yeah.
I think the 5 days versus 3 is not going to really affect what we do.
Okay.
So,
Yep, I just want to
That's
make sure, because I know there, and the reason it came up a little bit, because I know that the older one, there was some conversation between you and me about, because it was older, maybe we needed to euthanize it. And while I'm standing on 2 legs, unless the dog is super aggressive
Right.
and/or dying.
Right.
Euthanasia is never
It's
on my list.
Right.
And so maybe it's not extending the stray hold, but maybe, I don't think we have anything in our ordinances, or even maybe it's in policy and procedures, that we, maybe it's the length of time we agree, to hold the dog, so that if you're not here,
Right. I can check our policies and procedures.
Yeah.
And see what that says.
yeah. My concern is, when you're not here,
Right.
I have some trepidation about the backup. And,
Sure.
and so,
And my backup is strictly for calls. He has nothing to do with shelter or anything thereof.
okay,
That's just call-outs, when police need help.
okay,
That's all he's used for.
okay.
Yeah.
But the dog would always be brought back here,
Of course,
never to his facility?
no.
Okay,
No.
all right, okay.
Trust me, he don't want any dogs at his facility to come out of Trophy Club. He wants them here. Just as I don't want his dogs over here. We have a nice agreement about that.
Okay,
And we do have, I did some research on the ordinances. Actually, I read through our ordinances and learned a lot. And I spoke with the staff at the Grapevine Shelter to find out what they do.
Okay.
They have, a dog, but they have a shelter and a holding facility,
Right.
so they will close to intake when they're down to 1 or 2 kennels.
yeah, they won't take any surrenders.
And then they have
Right.
the ability, I think that we have also, to remove a partition maybe in the smaller kennels and make it into a larger kennel to make do.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have intake, so
Right.
it's not really,
It's hard to compare.
yeah, it's not.
Yeah, how
really
many,
good, but-
so this year we've only had the one surrender, right?
We've had
Did we have
one-
more than one surrender? I think it was just that Aussie, right?
I think just an Aussie, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So,
the
and we
one
could do,
surrender.
and,
That was the
and that's what
semi-aggressive.
all shelters are doing that now, they're managing their intake.
Right.
So that they can manage the successful output.
Right.
And so everybody is doing that, there's a schedule, an appointment, and if there's not space, they just don't take them in.
Right.
Years ago, they just kept taking everybody in, and that's where, they had the problem. To be honest, they do eventually, because if somebody can't surrender them, then all they do is take them out and
Yeah, they dump them here.
they dump them somewhere. Which is sad, I don't understand that mentality, but anyways, so I think that, so that's something that I think we can come back and take a look at. If you could shoot out to us if there's any policy and procedures around that.
I will.
And maybe that's where we put it, because it's more easily amended.
It would be easily amended.
Yeah,
Doesn't need council approval.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I think too, we're talking about the holding period, but I think that, it's been a long time since we've looked at the ordinances against what other shelters do.
Sure.
We did that, I think, when we very first started.
Okay.
And so maybe it's a good time to do that again.
Okay.
I learned a lot reading through the ordinances, and I know most people aren't inclined to do that, but, I think it was beneficial, and I did have some things that maybe I didn't quite understand or had questions about, so, thought maybe it might be an idea to take the ordinances by section and bring them as future agenda item. And just kind of go through and make sure that we all understand them and.
Okay.
And it would be good to look at best practices elsewhere.
And,
Yes.
I mean, a lot of it just really does pertain to your job, Brian, but I think it's good that we would just all be familiar with them and
Well, and as
understand.
a shelter board, we're just concerned with the shelter itself.
Correct.
Right. And again, since we are so tiny, it is hard to compare us, like you said, to Grapevine or Keller or Fort Worth, certainly. So, but yeah, we can certainly look
Okay.
at that.
Or
Yeah.
at least at a minimum, go over the ordinances
Yes.
that do actually pertain to the shelter. maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, and make sure that nothing's been updated that we might have missed,
Sure.
coming out of legislative sessions or anything.
Right.
Okay, all right, great. Okay, so we'll continue to look at that, and maybe we'll bring that back the next time and talk about what's in the policy and procedures manual and come to, just make sure we all agree on that one.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, so next up is we have the upcoming Pet Fest that's gonna be Saturday, October 1st. I think it starts at 9. Setup begins at 8 in the morning. They're gonna have you set up right next to me.
Okay,
And I know Karen's gonna join us as well, so she
Oh,
can
great.
help with pet registration stuff. She and I did that together last year, and she did really well.
okay, great,
So it'll be the three amigos of us this time.
okay, great. I
So,
think I'll have a foster with me too for,
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've started to make up goodie bags. With this year, I'm making up 90 bags because they have all the food vendors back out there. They have the bounce houses. It's gonna be full-blown a pet fest like it used to be.
yeah,
So
okay,
I
good,
have our,
EVA there also.
Are y'all gonna be there?
okay, good.
so I have our flyer, I have our milk bone dog biscuits, I have our pet fest tennis ball,
Oh, awesome,
and I'm incorporating 2 leashes this time, a bigger, thicker,
Okay,
longer one,
At least.
and then our generic with our phone number.
perfect,
So,
Okay.
'cause, a lot of people had 2 dogs.
yeah,
So I would say, oh, here, take two of these. So I was like, well, I'll put 2 leashes in the bag, that way,
and
I
it's
don't,
always,
but,
I'm
Anyway.
probably the only one in Trophy Club that has them in every pocket of every car that we own,
right,
just in case.
right.
Oh, my goodness.
We had them.
Oh, 8 o'clock setup.
Brian, will
Yeah.
PCPRV be there as well?
As far as I know, yes,
They're gonna be working now.
they'll be working, yeah.
Okay, great. And then the next item is to receive an update on the budget.
Yeah, so Ms. Pam brought up a very, very good point. That's something that we have never discussed is what is the animal control budget? So I was talking to Chief Arata, and he said to tell the board that every fiscal year, the animal control budget starts off at $4,000.
Okay.
And the money is used for supplies, equipment. It's used for anything needed for the truck. It's used for covering my associate when I'm out of town and he has to come respond to calls. And it's also, of course, used for food, any supplies that we need in the shelter itself. So
Okay.
during the course of any given year, I never come close to that, even, using much of that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
anyway,
'cause
but
I
that's
think,
what we,
I
that's what
think
we
we've
have.
only had the one dog that was injured,
Yes,
and that wasn't this year, that was, I think, last year,
that's right.
that we had to take to the thief out of record. And the owners met you up there, I think, the owners
I
were found
believe
almost
so.
immediately.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so
but we
that's
have
another
that
thing,
budget if we need it for
emergency
emergency
vet
care. Yeah.
care as needed, yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you something. So, after you went out for the cat that was stuck in the tree for
Yeah.
4 days,
The one that jumped on the roof?
I wish we could have gotten him because I know he had tags, but I don't know, I don't know if somebody dumped him or where he belonged
Yeah.
or whatever. But I am gonna send you, there is a service.
Well, you did, you sent it to me.
Did I send that to you?
Right.
Okay, so keep that on record.
Right.
So I don't know if they do it, if they charge a fee, but if we needed a service like that, would
Right.
that be something that would be covered under the budget as well? If required?
I would have to talk to the chief. Because
Okay.
I get a feeling that it would go, well, it's a stray.
But it wasn't a stray, it
Yes.
had tags,
It did have tags.
had tags.
Um,
So it was somebody's.
But if say we hired this service and they charge $300, and they come out and try to approach the cat and it jumps on the roof and then the service says, well, it's on the roof, we can't touch it now, well, where's our money? That's how I
Well,
think
just
that
as,
might go.
well, I mean, either we have to do it or they have to do it.
Because they were
So
a tree service, correct?
they're tree service, but they've done a lot of rescues, for
Okay.
rescues,
Okay,
and for animal control. And
Okay.
so what they do, they know you don't just go up the ladder,
right,
you have a box or a
Right.
carrier,
right,
and, one of, what we call kitty crack, one of those lick and lap treats,
yeah.
to entice and encourage, the kitty to
To come
come
down,
in,
yeah.
yeah. So I wasn't able to intercept you before you went over there with the box and the treat.
Yes.
But I just a question really, that,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that that type of service would be covered under your budget,
I
If it was
would believe
needed,
so, yes.
yeah, since the firemen won't go out.
Well, we could have the firemen come out and just.
They won't do it.
Blast them out of the tree.
They won't.
Oh, jeez,
Be practice.
no,
They
Li-
got-
liability.
They came out for the car.
We got 9 lives.
That's what they say.
that was years ago, before current chief. Yeah,
But say they did catch the cat, and the cat had a tag, and we could find the owners, wouldn't that financial burden then go back to the owner?
I would think so.
well, I
The
don't,
city could,
you could ask, but I don't think that you can they would have to pay a fine. Because like a cat or dogs, they have to be restrained. You might give them a warning if it was the first one.
It's not illegal for a cat to be at large. The cat
What?
needs to have a tag.
It's
This
not in
cat
the
had a tag.
ordinance.
The cat was perfectly legal.
Okay.
I
Okay.
went out there
That's
mainly
not
to make sure it wasn't injured.
Yeah.
I felt it odd. It's sitting in the same place.
For
as this
for
tree
4 days.
4 days?
Wow.
So here's what I think. I think during the night it was coming down. It had a perfect perch. It was like a little king up there surveying his kingdom.
it was.
It was in a perfect little nice spot where the tree forked.
But he's not been back since.
He's not been back since.
And we thought it was Smokey. the one from Hogan's
Oh,
Farm.
was that the crabby one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nobody will approach him. I wouldn't send you out for Smokey. I wouldn't go out for Smokey.
Right.
Because assuming that if the cat has a tag, then it definitely has an owner, and you would think that, I mean, if it were my cat, I'd be keeping an eye on it, even though maybe I couldn't get to it. If they're responsible enough to have a tag, then they should be responsible enough
I
to pay a fine or pay.
Yeah, and I was
You're-
shocked that I could not, there was nothing on social media about a missing cat
That was shocking to me too,
for 4 days.
for 4 days.
Nothing. And I'm on all the groups except one. And nobody posted about a missing cat. But anyway,
Maybe they were on vacation, who knows, you know?
Yeah.
The owners could be sick, and that's something that, with the stray hold, you know, if the owner has a stroke and they're in the hospital
Right,
for a
right.
week,
Right,
maybe it's an elderly person, the dog's not chipped, it's not tagged, it doesn't appear that well taken care of. It could appear to be a stray and.
not be.
and actually not,
And not be.
Yep.
that's true.
Because a lot of elderly pet owners, especially these days, and you probably know this, that they're not seeking care as much as they used to, they're not grooming like they used to because of the cost factor
Mm-hmm.
Right,
for vet care or whatever, but, I would just hate that that would happen. I did read the ordinance about protective custody, which I did not realize we had.
we do,
We have a protective custody ordinance for 5 days, I believe.
I believe so.
If there's a house fire.
Right.
Or the owner's sick, or there's a domestic
Mhm.
dispute.
Or an owner is arrested and the pet's in
Yes.
his custody, like when they pull over a car. The owner gets arrested and the car has to go to impound, guess where the doggy goes? I come and get it.
Doggy jail.
Oh.
And we don't issue fines, we don't issue them impound fees because, hey,
Yeah.
you know, next of kin, come get fight out of doggy jail while you work on your uncle, getting him out of jail?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bail the dog out after uncle.
Right.
Okay, so we will do that because we may potentially have some new members.
Yes,
And so it's not a bad idea to kind of do a
That's
review of what
great.
you think is
yeah.
important,
That will
that
give
everybody
give
know.
our agenda
Because that way,
to
we're
meet.
all on social media, this way we're all singing the same tune, and,
Right, I like that.
yeah. I go out to the code, the codification all the time and grab the ordinances for people and say,
Yeah.
here's what you can and can't do, here's what you can and
Yes,
can't do.
oh, people call me, what's it say about chickens? Here it is.
Yeah, exactly.
No roosters.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yes, we
I do
made
that
sure.
too.
It was
Yeah, that-
interesting to read some of those things, like, why did we have to put this in there? Kind
I think because those ordinances are
State law.
old
of
enough
state, yeah.
that they're, and yeah, state law, and back then when we had some livestock and things that we really don't have today, other than the sheep on the goat farm.
We had the goat,
Yeah,
What about a pet goat?
we had a goat in our neighborhood.
you can have a pet
Oh,
goat,
really?
yes.
Potbelly pig too?
It wasn't allowed.
Pigs are, no,
He got
pigs
out
are
of, they lived,
a prohibited animal.
they
Yeah.
had a goat farm back there.
And
He was the
potbelly
only one.
pigs, I think you have to
And he
have
got
a,
out and was,
you have to do something special if you have the potbelly
I
pig,
think
I
so.
think.
There's something.
But,
Scared.
okay, all right, very
Mhm.
good. Well, thank you for that. And, so there, yeah, and I don't think we need more than $4,000 any given year.
Like I said, I never use it.
Yeah,
Never use it all.
okay, all right. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn,
I'll second that.
okay?
oh, motion to adjourn.
Second, motion and second, there we go, all right. Everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you guys, thank you.
How come you're not being videotaped?
Half an hour, we went a whole